Andrew Tate told a generation of young men that they were living inside the matrix, that the system, the government, the media, the education system, the corporate machine, had trapped them inside a simulation designed to keep them compliant, broke, and weak. And none of that is necessarily false. But he said he was the red pill. Follow him, subscribe, pay the fee, and you'll be free. Millions of young men believed him, not because Tate was particularly original. The matrix metaphor has been used by every internet philosopher for 20 years. They believed him because he said it louder, with more Bugattis, and at a moment when an entire generation of men felt invisible, purposeless, and desperate for someone to tell them the problem was not them, and that the problem was the system, and that he had the solution. And here's the part that's true. The system is broken. There's no doubt about that. Young men are struggling. Purpose in the traditional sense is harder to find than it was a generation ago. Meaning has been hollowed out by many of the structures that used to provide it. That's real. It's not paranoia. But what Tate built on top of that real observation is where the lie begins. The man who follows Tate hasn't escaped the matrix, he just entered a new one. The old matrix, if we accept the metaphor, tells you to go to school, get a job, be quiet, consume, comply. Tate's matrix tells you to get rich, get aggressive, dominate, consume differently, take advantage of other people, and comply with a new set of rules that happen to funnel money and attention toward Andrew Tate. The structure is identical, the aesthetic is different. Instead of a cubicle, you're in a penthouse. Instead of a boss, you have a guru. Instead of a corporate hierarchy, you have Hustlers University, a subscription service where you pay monthly to receive business advice from strangers on the internet, with a percentage flowing upward to the man who told you the system was designed to take your money. I've written about what I call distortion, the gap between what is real and what you've constructed to avoid what is real. Tate's entire brand is a distortion engine. It takes a real problem, male purposelessness, and constructs a false solution around it. The false solution does not address the underlying wound. It simply monetizes it. The young man who feels invisible doesn't need a Bugatti. He needs to understand why he feels invisible. He needs to examine the architecture of his life and identify what's missing, not consume a lifestyle brand that sells him the image of what a powerful man looks like without ever addressing what a powerful man actually is. Sovereignty is not a product. You can't subscribe to it. You also can't purchase it from a man in Romania who's selling you the performance of freedom while building an empire upon your compliance. Tate tells men to be strong, to be dominant, to reject weakness, to accumulate wealth and women as markers of success. And for young men who have been told by a culture that has done a poor job of distinguishing between toxic masculinity and healthy masculinity, and by labeling masculinity in the first place, that their natural impulses are shameful, Tate's message feels like liberation, but it's not liberation, it's just sophisticated inversion. The culture told these men, your strength is a problem. Tate tells them, your strength is the only thing that matters. Both positions are distortions. One exiles the masculine, the other worships it without integrating anything else. I've written about fragment theory, the idea that in childhood we elevate certain fragments of ourselves and exile others. The culture exiled the aggressive, competitive, dominant fragment of masculinity. Tate re-elevated it, but only that fragment. Emotional depth is not part of the model. The man who follows Tate is permitted to be powerful, but not permitted to be whole. And a man who is powerful but not whole is not sovereign. He's simply a weapon, but a weapon without a builder behind it is just a force, undirected, destructive, and ultimately consumed by its own momentum. The man who accumulates wealth without examining why he needs the wealth. The man who dominates without asking what domination is compensating for. The man who collects women without understanding the collection is not connection. These men are not free. They're simply performing a script written by a man who profits from their performance. The honest version of this quote is, the system has failed you in specific, identifiable ways. The education system is flawed and did not prepare you for the world you actually inhabit. The economic system rewards a narrower set of skills than it once did. The cultural messaging about masculinity has been incoherent and often contradictory. These are real problems. The solution is to build your own architecture from the ground with your own hands, based on your own honest assessment of what you need, what you lack, and what you're willing to sacrifice to become coherent. No one can sell you that. No subscription provides it. No guru delivers it. You build it or you don't have it. That's a long quote, and it's much less exciting than a Bugatti. It doesn't produce viral clips. It won't make anyone a millionaire from selling courses. But it's the difference between a man who's free and a man who has changed masters and calls it freedom. If you followed Tate, or if you're tempted to do so, I'm not here to shame you. The impulse was real, the hunger for direction, for purpose, for someone to say, you are not the problem, that the hunger is legitimate and that you are right to be hungry. But you fed the hunger with the wrong thing. You handed your sovereignty to a man who sold it back to you at a monthly rate. And sovereignty once outsourced is no longer sovereignty. It's dependence with good marketing. The matrix is real. The system is broken. And the way out is not through another man's door. The way out is through your own construction, difficult, slow, unglamorous, and entirely yours. No one's coming to free you, not Tate, not me, not any man behind any microphone. You free yourself by building something that's yours, not something you buy, not something you subscribe to, something you build. So you should build accordingly. Now, you might find it ironic that after everything I just said about subscriptions and sovereignty, I'm about to ask you to subscribe to something. And I understand the instinct, but here's the difference. And it's not a difference because I say so. It's a difference because of what it does. What I'm about to offer you is not a community. It's not a lifestyle. There's no guru to follow. It's not a course that teaches you how to be free by following someone else's instructions. It's one sentence once a week delivered to your phone. It doesn't comfort you. It doesn't motivate you. It names the thing you've been avoiding. And if it ever stops doing that, cancel it. I don't need your loyalty, but you need your honesty. That's the difference between a man selling your sovereignty and a man holding up a mirror and walking away. So here it is. If any of this cut close, if something in this episode named a pattern you've been circling but haven't faced, there's a sharper version of this work. It's called the Weekly Cut. One sentence once a week, delivered to your phone, 99 cents, link in show notes. Welcome to The Architect Speaks.